Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show, and I actually got the sequence right. I actually got the sequence correct. Make sure that when you hit the go live button, or that when you start talking, you hit the go live button, or get the sequence flipped out to where you hit one and then you hit the other and then everything's going. So, yeah, well, Abby, I am too. We're both on from the beginning. So, good morning. As always, the Freestyle Friday is what it is. Hour number 2 is your preview of everything in Major League Soccer, getting you ready for your weekend and giving you all of the juice boxes, all the big storylines. We'll get through Morning Ricky. We'll get through all of the stories from yesterday, get through everything that happened in the Premier League. They get a day off before they start back up again. Most of the action's on Sunday because you had all of the stuff going on Wednesday and Thursday. So they'll do it during festive fixtures, but, late in the year, we'll kind of peel things back a little bit. So you got that. So we got that this morning. Looking forward, hopefully, to catching up with our friends from Beyond Goals at 9:30. And we will see if they're not traveling the planet, what's on the minds of our friends at Beyond Goals this morning. But once again, it's whatever's on your mind as well as we get you through and get you into another weekend. How many of you are making the trip to Nashville to see Atlanta United and Nashville SC? So once again, what's on your mind as we head into the weekend, let us know. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. kickoffcoffeeco.com. And don't forget, once again, use the code SoccerDownHere15. There's your QR code for those of you watching live on Twitch. And you use the code SoccerDownHere15. Thanks to everyone who has so far and has been investing in Kickoff Coffee and getting your day kicked off with Kickoff Coffee at kickoffcoffeeco.com. You use the code SoccerDownHere15. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth game with youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, we all know about what's happening currently with the folks in the championship trying to make their way into the Premier League, this kind of thing. We know that Burnley's up. Vincent Company, fantastic job. I think and as much as our friends that Chelsea and at Spurs want to sit there and have Vincent Company as their new coach, honestly, I think the next gig that he takes is Manchester City when Pep Guardiola decides he wants to leave. We have someone else who got promoted. It's Sheffield United. So the Blades will be back next year. And then you get the promotion playoff where 3, 6, and 4, and 5, and then the third one gets figured out. But we'll get into, oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, Abby, that's how it goes. The new stuff always ends up over here just off the right shoulder. Once again, Abby's looking at scarves, getting ready to leave now. Okay, so the OG is getting ready, lives about halfway between Memphis and Nash Vegas. Sounds like Jackson or somewhere in there, or near Loretta Lynn's hometown, that exit where you can go and you can go to the museum. But 2 teams are in, waiting for the third. We'll get into the promotion relegation mess after midweek fixtures coming up in just a little bit. But Sheffield United owner Prince Abdullah has told TalkSport he intends to sell the club in the next 4 weeks. Guy's maxing out. Because despite the club sealing promotion back into the Premier League. The Saudi boss has owned the Blade since 2013 and has now overseen 2 promotions to the top flight, but it appears he may not be the owner of the club next season. Prince Abdullah spoke to Jim White, their afternoon host. Afternoon, their time, not our time. Says achieving promotion was one of the best days of my life, and he's proud of the players. Manager Paul Heckingbottom, who's been there just about 18 months. Fans and everyone who works at the club in the city of Sheffield itself. But he admits he's still planning to sell and quickly. Quote, the last 2 years have been really stressful, not only to myself, but also to my family, to my daughters and my sons, living game by game, result by result. It really takes a lot out of you. I feel tired. I feel exhausted. I feel burned out. I feel like I need to get a break. Yes, selling the club this summer is my intention. Nothing is guaranteed. I'm not going to sell it to anybody. I care about who owns the club next because the most important decision in any club is not hiring the right manager or bringing in the right players. It starts from the top. If the owner is a bad owner, it can drive everything eventually into the ground. People can see that for themselves. So, yes, my intention is to sell, but it's not guaranteed yet. I can't say that the Dozie Mbosi takeover is off, but I think it may be now. It's unlikely, but everything is open. I can't comment more on that. The next 2 or 3 weeks, if we reach a decision, I'd like it to be before the preparation begins for next year. It can't be July or August because then it would affect the team next season. It has to be done now. If we're still in the club, people can bet we're going to manage it as best we can. We've never made a decision just to save money. We put over $40 million into the club, 40 million pounds. There are other parties who are interested, but I'd rather do something in the next 4 weeks or we do nothing. These things never go as you expect. There are always complications. I will go on the record now so people can hear this. If I get out of Sheffield United, and even in the future, if I buy another club, I will always be Sheffield United. You can count on that. I've got the club in my heart now. Most important thing is we're now back in the Premier League. We're excited, very excited. It's a dream. So, you got a club on the block. You got a club on the block right after they've been promoted. Dude wants to max out. So the questions coming in this morning, Coco. Ryan Mason wants the gig full-time at the age of 31. Eric Ten Hag has told Manchester United players to follow Bruno Fernandes's example if the club is to build a winning culture. Readiness to suffer for the cause. Called on players to make him their inspiration if they're to find consistency to compete on all fronts. Harry Kane opened up on a recent meeting with Daniel Levy, who met with all the players following the exit of Christian Stellini. Sheffield United wants to, Coco. They get promoted from the championship, and the owners had it. He wants to sell. All of the rush to get back into the Premier League, and he wants to max out. He wants to max out before they get back into the Premier League, which is interesting. Basically betting on the come, betting on the inbound. Chairman asked for a meeting. Harry Kane said, obviously, I won't go into what was said, but I think it's important to understand where the players' heads are at the moment. Obviously, coming up off the back of the result, wasn't just that result. It had been building up since the international break when we conceded the 2 goals against Southampton. Honest conversation, still fighting for 4th. In this league, it's so competitive, you could easily end up 8th or 9th. Kane also admitted that he heard the chants of the Manchester United fans about the potential transfer. Harry Kane will see you in June. He heard those. I heard what they were saying. So there's that. Daniel Levy's bracing himself now from an offer from Chelsea for Harry Kane this summer. Once again, according to our friends at Talk Sport. Could Mauricio Pochettino help in that regard? Pochettino goes in. Daniel Levy bracing for bids for Manchester United and Chelsea. Just what we need, a bidding war. 242 games Kane played under Pochettino. 5 years together. Only a year left on the contract. So you could see now Chelsea and Manchester United possibly chasing after Harry Kane. Brighton broke their club transfer fee to bring in they're going to bring in Joao Pedro from Watford in the offseason in June. Gary O'Neill gets another year added to his deal if Bournemouth avoid relegation. Southampton looked like Ruben Sellis is going to leave at the end of the year. Sellis said he wanted to stay, but if they're going to get relegated, I guess they're going to dump Ruben Sellis. He's only won twice since he's been picked up in February. So that is what you're staring at least from the early morning. What happened yesterday, and I know that Tom Russo is probably going to cover his ears with what happened. The results Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The results yesterday, Newcastle put 4 on Everton. Bournemouth got a big win, winning 1-0 against Southampton. Spurs and Manchester United, the abject craziness that was there. It's 2-2. Table in the Premier League. We'll start with the bottom. Coco, let's talk about UCL bound Newcastle. Not wrong. Southampton's at the bottom at 24. Everton's at 28. Only 2 points out of the relegation zone, but I think you're looking probably at 4 teams for 2 spots. West Ham still might be a part of the discussion. Leicester right now is the team that's third, but Leicester and Everton this weekend. Why does that one scream 1-1 draw to me? Forest has Brentford. They're out of the relegation zone on goal difference, on 30 points, and they're behind Leeds on goal difference. They got some work to do there. Leeds and Bournemouth. It's another big one. Leeds is at 30 points. They've got Bournemouth, who's at 36. You figure 4 more points in 5 games. Bournemouth should be safe at 40 points. West Ham has a match in hand around everybody. 34 points. They get Crystal Palace next. We mentioned Bournemouth at 36 playing Leeds. Wolves at 37 behind Crystal Palace on goal difference. They get Brighton. We mentioned Crystal Palace and West Ham. Chelsea's at 39 points. They get Arsenal. You like that? Then you go into that second group, 5 through, we'll go ahead and say 9, separated by 7. Well, technically, yeah, let's go 9 points and get Fulham in there. Fulham's at 45, Brentford's at 47, Brighton's at 49, but they also have 2 or 3 matches in hand with the folks that they're around. Liverpool's at 53, they played 32, Villa's at 54, chasing after Europa League. Spurs at 54, ahead of Villa on goal difference, 2 goals only. Manchester United's 4th right now at 60 points. Newcastle at 62, having won 4 of 5. And you would anticipate that with them playing Southampton, they're probably going to get 33rd match. They'll be at 65 points. And then once again, City, two matches in hand on Arsenal, behind by 2 points. So this weekend, the full grid, like you said, most of it's on Sunday because of all of the midweek action. Prem and Proper will be out later today, by the way. Crystal Palace, West Ham, Brentford, Forest, Brighton, and Wolves. That's your Saturday grid. 1 at 7:30, 2 at 10. Sunday is when the fun starts. 5 matches there. Bournemouth, Leeds, Fulham, City, and I think this is when they have their time change too. Bournemouth, Leeds, Fulham, City, Manchester United, Villa, Newcastle, Southampton. They're all at 9 o'clock Sunday morning. Liverpool and Tottenham are at 11:30. Monday Night Football, Leicester and Everton. Tuesday is Arsenal and Chelsea. Then once again, you've got another round of midweek stuff to make up. So all of those games that we look at with Brighton, looks like they might be catching up, but they host Manchester United next Thursday, 6 days from now. So that's what you're staring at right now for those of you who are gnashing your teeth, trying to figure out who's going where. And Tom, after what happened yesterday, and I will readily admit this, and we talked about it with the teams that were in the Premier League that are now in the championship, especially in the bottom half. Tom admits on the Twitch pitch, you're watching what could very well be the end of one of the most historic clubs in England. It's sad and pathetic, and it was preventable. I worry about Leicester. I worry about Everton if they both go down. Everton, we've talked about the ownership group. We talked about Mashiri. We talked about the alleged influence with oligarch money and the idea of building a new stadium and not focusing on your actual finances with your place. So you got that. Leicester, I worry, considering that, and Nick, you can either comment or hold your hands over your ears and go earmuffs. Having to borrow against future TV revenue, as Top did last year, was a concern and a red flag for me there. When the family borrowed, I think there have been 6 loans, Nix, if I'm not mistaken, 6 separate loan instances, and you had to borrow against future TV revenue in one of those last year. I worry about Everton. I worry about Leicester if they go down. Because, I mean, you look at the championship, and we talked about it before, but it bears repeating. In the championship right now, 24 teams. Let's start at 10. And there is chaos basically from 5 through 12 right now. 5 through 12 are separated by 4 points to get into the promotion playoff. That's how tight it is in the championship. So if you're looking for something else to watch during the home stretch, look at the championship. 5 through 12, 2 promotion spots, 8 teams within 4 points of each other. But let's start at 10 through 24. Norwich, Swansea, Watford, Hull, Stoke, Birmingham, Cardiff, QPR, Huddersfield, and in the relegation zone right now, Jessica Charman can hold the earmuffs, Reading, Blackpool, Wigan. All of those folks have at one point in the very recent future been in a recent past have been in the Premier League. And you could have 3 of those names who have been in the Premier League in the last decade out to League One at the end of this year. Reading, Blackpool, and Wigan right now. But once again, that's chaos down at the bottom too. Huddersfield, Reading, Blackpool, Wigan. 3 relegation spots out of the championship, and you're separated by 4 points. I worry about it. I worry about teams like Everton and Leicester. I really do. Yes, Jam and David is a Team Hawaii shirt. Right here. Team Hawaii, right there. I worry. I really do. Whoever goes down, it's like I said, I mean, you figured Leeds and Forest might be yo-yos in that 20 to 30 range just because of how they've spent money and such. Leicester and Everton, and possibly even Southampton, I really do worry about the 3 of them. I really do. And their financial futures if they're out of the Premier League. Will, casual Friday, wearing your Soccernauts jersey to work. Very nice. Nix is wearing his USA warm-up this morning. Will, every year we hear about how relegation potentially destroys 100-year-old clubs. That means everything to the people who support them, yet I'm told I should want this. Nix thinks that if the Foxes go down, they won't be back for a long time, if ever. Yeah, Will, Bolton nearly died, Barry did. Bolton nearly died and Bury did. And we covered the story. We covered the story of Bury, Bolton, Wigan. I mean, Sunderland, if you want to get into Sunderland and what they did, down to League One, gradually trying to work their way back up. And for Tom, administration is more likely than being promoted again because, and cue the Everton Netflix special. Tom, you're not wrong. FFP could get to Everton and all the violations there. I mean, there could be a winding up. You could, I mean, and like I said, and Tom is at the forefront of this, and because he and Ropes are our 2 Evertonians that hang out with us. They know about this probably more than the average bear. I mean, we cover what we see. So it truly does. It truly should concern folks. I mean, those of us who are outside the purview, those of us who are outside the fandom of an Everton or all of those teams that we mentioned in the championship, or a Leicester or a Southampton. Emilio is a plastic Evertonian. But what we see in this, I mean, yes, we have our level of concern, but for our resident plastic Evertonian Emilio, and for Ropes and for Tom. This is years of support and years of understanding, and all of those fans that are tied. And we always use that cliche. It's like you're coming home to roost, and this may be that moment for those clubs that are in that are in this kind of peril. Yeah, Ken Wright, Ken Wright utterly destroyed the club with his incompetence and arrogance. And you feel you feel a compassion for those who don't have any kind of impact in this other than being a fan. If those three clubs, let's say, Everton, Leicester, Southampton, if they go, and Nick said it, Nick's is concerned about Leicester ever coming back to the Premier League. I'm not so sure, just because of the outlay that the family has made to get that one in a gazillion shot and then try to maintain it. Abby, do I even want to know what the cost of the Wrexham game is in North Carolina? It needs to be in a larger venue. But you're looking at what could be the end of these clubs. And it's sad, it's disappointing. And you have $115 for the cheap seats, not including all the fees. Yikes. Hey, strike while it's hot. That's all I can say. But, when you're looking at those clubs right now at the bottom, of the 5 that we've been talking about, the bottom of the Premier League, the 3 that are right now that are below the relegation bar, it could get really long in the tooth pretty quick. Could get really bad really quick. Oh, it's at Keenan. Okay. But yeah, yeah, it's pretty bad. So, obviously we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, when FFP comes knocking on your door, that's never a good thing. When the British version of the IRS comes knocking on your door, it's never a good thing. Yeah, whenever you see the letters HMRC, it's never good. Taxman's coming. And when you see all of that's combined into this, and then when you add to it what's going on in Ukraine and oligarchical ties to that have ties to Everton, that folks are going to be coming after you. And it's not a good scene right now. It is not a good scene whatsoever. And it could get a lot worse. Could get an absolute lot worse. And like I said, we'll go over the weekend schedule. And there's a lot of stuff to get into with that this morning. And like I said, 10 o'clock hour is Major League Soccer, as always. The MLS preview is going to be in hour number 2, as traditionally as it always is. So we'll get into that in hour number 2. Get into who's leaving, who's staying, who's going, who might have a contract, who are they chasing after. Everybody's chasing after Harry Kane. So there's all of that. And I know that a lot of folks we're talking about promotion and relegation. I know folks are looking at Wrexham. I think Wrexham could plow through League 2 next year. I really do. And talking to folks, they're saying that the level of competition between the National League and League 2 is about the same. So if the level of investment by Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, and the board matches what you want to see in League 2, you could get to League 1. I still think championship for Wrexham, I think that might be their max, and then maintaining that level of competition. But I think they could get through League 2 next year. I really do. If not in that first year, I think that in that second year, when they finally get their gauge of League 2 as to what it is and what it can be, those kinds of things, I think that legitimately, I think that they have a good shot of getting through League Two next year. I really do. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Premier League's going to be crazy going down to the stretch. We've got our 3 groups, which have now kind of splintered into like 4. But the stuff at the top and the bottom, you don't want to be a Chelsea. You don't want to. And who knew that we'd have this conversation? You don't want to be a Chelsea where everybody's just kind of sitting there going, yeah, you're in the middle of the pile. Great. Good for you. Liverpool kind of working out of lane 8, working their way into the discussion for Europe and all that kind of stuff, making that last mad dash. We'll see what happens with them. Will they make it into European football? Racing in. And so, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. But, yeah, stuff in Europe, we always kind of look at it, and you have all of these clubs. You've got some big name clubs in La Liga that are looking at promotion, relegation, that kind of thing. And then can they handle it? I mean, right now, you look at the La Liga standings, and you look at who's in the. I mean, you have Espanyol right now. Espanyol and Getafe could go down next year into La Liga 2. I mean, it's kind of chaotic still. 14 through 19. Elche just has only won twice. They're going down. Valladolid, Almeria, Valencia, Cadiz, Getafe, Espanyol, separated by 7 points. Espanyol's only 4 points out of the relegation zone, but once again, remember, they've still got like 7 matches to go. So you've got a lot of wiggle room right now. 7 points separating 14 through 19, but 2 of those spots are to go down. You can have some big name clubs go down in La Liga too. And would it be the end of them? That would be, once again, we're not. Sadly, this is the way things are. We should not be surprised when you have these big names rolling through. Tom thinks he's going to be watching a lot of Serie A and Bundesliga next year. Tom, would you watch the championship? Nix, would you watch the championship? If Everton is in the championship next year, how much of it would you watch? Nix, same thing. Would you watch those? Would you watch those clubs? How much attention would you be paying? As much attention to them in the championship? But if there's a way to, the Plus does it occasionally, but is there a way to get like that iWatch or whatever it is? Can you do something? And this is, like I said, this is a question that I don't have an answer to. You guys know it more than I do. Can you do like the iWatch thing in the States? Is there an equivalent there, or can you dive into that iWatch subscription? Can you do that here and watch them in the championship and spend the kind of money that they would want you to spend to watch that kind of thing? That would be my question. And would you, to a match day on Saturday? Nick says he'd watch Leicester in the championships if he could. Matches are hit and miss. Maybe get to a match day on Saturday. Yeah, and like I said, I'll watch the Plus. And if there's a match, especially in the playoffs or toward the bottom, that decides something, I'll watch it. David is welcome to Wrexham, much like The Bachelor, people wanting to get famous except with some actual talent. I don't know if they're wanting to get famous, but I guess if you extend the notion of promotion and relegation, you want to go higher in the pyramid. So I don't know if that's wanting to get famous in a soccer sense. I think you want to improve your lot. I don't know if improving your lot and wanting to get famous would equate to Bachelor soccer, the soccer's version of The Bachelor. I don't know if it would equate to that. So we'll see about where that is. Coco, Wrexham's goal should be to get into League One in 1 year, maybe in the playoffs in League One. Nix would bite his arm off for mid-table. He's going to go cry quietly in a corner. Don't bite your arm off. And Coco's like with Wrexham, get their feet under him, start raising the overall level of the roster. Ricky thinks Wrexham could be championship in 5 years. Coco championship 3, 4, 5 is reasonable. Coco League 2 will be League 1 tougher, and they'll be in the playoffs there in at least 1 or 2 years. Coco says they already outspend League 2. So, I mean, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the possibility. And, once again, it's an ownership group that found something and that's what you want to do. You want to find that distressed asset. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for that distressed asset, and then you go from that distressed asset and you want to improve it and then continue to see where you can go in the pyramid. So you're looking at that. We mentioned Manchester United could move a step closer to resolution, courtesy of John Engel. Bid number 3 is being told to be accepted. Bid number 3 for Manchester United. We'll ask this guy coming up here if he would be remotely interested in buying a club, part of a multi-club model perhaps. And that reminds me that I need to figure out how to talk to this guy's new head coach. He's not new, but he's a head coach. But we're going to defy technology again and have it be time for catching up with our friends. And here we go. It's Friday. It's 9:30, half hour. So that means one thing. Morning, Cap.
Morning, John. Apologies for my delay.
No worries. You're running a multi-club model. You've got RIFC going. I figure you and the ownership group, you're trying to figure out, okay, where else can we go in the world and have the umbrella of Michael Parkhurst Football LLC and try to figure out what parts of the world you're going to conquer next.
I don't know about that. What I actually was doing was getting more organized with Beyond Goals stuff.
Oh,
I've just got perfect example, John.
Okay.
Just sheets of notes, random notes all over the place. And I'm like, enough's enough. I need to get more organized, get this stuff into documents. And so that's what I was doing and got distracted.
Well, okay. So when you're running a business that is benefiting the public good, and you have all of these different, I mean, how much of your life is ownership and conquering USL Championship, and how much of your life is Beyond Goals right now? How many hours in the day do you need to get everything done these days?
Yeah, it depends on the day. There's some days I spend more time on some things than other things. The Rhode Island project is not too time consuming for me. I spend like 4 to 5 hours a week doing things. And so, especially now that we have got Kano on board, a lot of my stuff is just assisting him and, some meetings with him every now and then. And we've got one board call a week that I jump on. So not too much. And then, probably about 10 hours a week on mentoring ish. And then with Rippleworks, the tech company that I help work with, probably another 5 to 6 hours a week. And then, that's where I spend my time and squeeze in golf in between.
All right. So how are you shooting?
I've only played 3 9s so far this year, but I've been very happy with how I've played. 2 42s and a 44, which is very good for me.
Okay.
I'm getting my handicap down. I'm 11 now.
Wow. Oh, I'm jealous. See, but the thing is for me, the less I play when I go back out onto the course, that round is fantastic. If I play consistently, I end up playing worse. If I have a lot of gap time between rounds, that round when I come back, I actually play pretty well.
I would assume, John, that is because of a mental block there. No, but it's true, right? I mean, that's honestly why I don't warm up before I go. When I show up and play golf, literally the first tee shot I hit is on the first hole.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I don't know why. History has shown if I go out there and I hit balls on the range, I don't play well.
No, I'm right there with you. I'm all over the place, and when I go right out there to the first tee, I'll go anywhere from 250 to 320, and just I'm off and running. I'll go cold turkey, and then everything comes together by 13, and then it's like par, birdie, par, par, par all the way in. No, I'm right there with you. I get that.
Yep.
So when it comes to mentoring, and I want to kind of take what we were talking about and kind of steer it into that, and about budgeting your time and the conversations that you have these days with your mentees about budgeting your time. How different is it for mentees these days generationally than maybe the generation before that, and to your generation and to parents of those who would be more my generation? How different is it for mentees and all of those who are attached to your mentees these days about budgeting your time? How successful a conversation is that?
It's way more difficult for this generation because of technology. And not only is technology available like it wasn't for us, but what it does to the brain is it just completely loses focus, right? It's like TikTok and Instagram rolls, it's literally just 5-second bites of this and then this and then this and then this. And it's like it knows that our brains just want constant new stuff. What's next. And it really is inhibiting this generation of their ability to focus on something. And I mean, there's far smarter people than us that are coming up with these algorithms and know that this is how the brain can suck people in. And so, when you ask a kid to sit down and study or sit down and read or something, like it's a struggle for a lot of them because of that, because they're so used to that. So it's much, much more difficult for this younger generation.
How do you hammer that home, though, about separating from the video fast food to understanding that improvement isn't something that's going to happen in 5 seconds? It's something that has to be, you've got to go down the rabbit hole, and you got to want it. And it's going to take longer than 5 seconds. How many conversations and how much hammering that idea home do you have to have sometimes?
Yeah, that's a tough one. And it's just as many conversations with parents. Honestly, they want, instant recognition, instant feedback, instant moving up the ladder, right? And they don't understand that, it takes time to move up and to get better and see results and all these things. And, we want everything overnight. And that's players and parents, parents of especially elite youth players. So it's both. But that's the challenge. And that's why, we try and get kids bought in on the process, not the outcome, right? Of like, you have to be able to enjoy the process and enjoy the day to day, the training and getting better and the grind. Otherwise, it's not going to last, because if you're just, going after that result on the weekend and going after that tryout and after that, right? You won't be able to sustain the grind if you're not bought into it.
And I imagine, can you even go to a parent and even give them, and as much as the anticipation is there, the expectation is there for that instant gratification, can you go to a parent or a mentee and give them a little something? I mean, is it almost a carrot and stick kind of a thing where you give them even a little something to keep them engaged and to keep them from wanting everything now, like the Veruca Salt and, Willy Wonka, I want it now kind of a thing. If you give them a little something, does that help out, or does it literally have to be all or nothing?
No, I think that a little helps. I think that, the parents, we all want what's best for our kids, right?
Yeah.
What we think is best for our kids. And so I think that, helping them understand just a little bit of like, it's okay. They're still on the right path. They're still going in the right direction. They can still get there. That's important, right? Sometimes they just need that to hear that, right? Of like, what you're doing and what you're providing for your child and these experiences and these trainings and this, right? It's great. It's helping them, right? But they don't need to be on Atlanta United when they're 12, right? If they are, great. If they're not, it's okay. They can still get there, right? One of the things we're dealing with right now is Atlanta United just made a ton of cuts, the academy, and it happens. And so Greg and I are talking with those families and those kids, and those are tough conversations where you're like, hey, it's okay, right? The end goal hasn't changed. It's just the pathway. The pathway has now changed, but the end goal is still there.
How difficult are those conversations? Because I imagine both for parents and for the student athlete, there is the desire, the want, the expectation that, hey, I thought that this was my path, but it may still be very well be your path. It just may not be in that particular direction. How difficult is that first conversation?
Tough, very difficult. Obviously they're having that conversation with Atlanta United Academy staff first, and they're processing everything. And usually we don't speak to them until, a day or two or more after, to processed a little bit. But, our first conversation with the families is tough because it's kind of like some of them are upset. There's a whole range of emotions, right? Of, being upset to, I just don't even know what to do next because I haven't been in the soccer landscape in a couple of years or whatever, and finding the right team, or what is the right team? What's important? Do we need to move to another MLS academy? Right. Just a lot of different questions of the unknown. And frankly, what we found is the kids are more resilient than the parents.
You think that's a generational thing?
I think it's probably a control thing. That's how I view it. Right. When I was playing professionally, it was way more nerve wracking for me to watch my team play. Right. If I wasn't playing, if I was on the bench, if I was in the stands, whatever, it was so nerve wracking, so nervous. But when I was playing, wasn't nervous at all, once the game started, right? So it was like, because you have a sense of control. And I think that the kids know sometimes, they still control their outcome, and the parents have less. So I think maybe that's a big reason.
How hard is it to let someone else drive the car at times? Because we all like control. We always think that our path is set in this direction. We're going to be doing this thing. But it's sometimes, you're not in charge of the car. Somebody else is driving the car, and you've just got to be along for the ride and hope that, you understand where it's going. How difficult is it to cede control and understand that you're not the one in charge? You can be a part of the process, but you're not the one in charge of the entire thing. How difficult is that?
It's difficult for all of us as parents, I think, and some more than others. I think and that's just because we think we know what's best for our kid at all times, right? And I was reading something the other day about technology and social media, and it was like, this younger generation, younger than me, right? My kids, they grew up with social media, and they know far more about it than we do, right? So for us to try and tell them how to use it and what to do and all this stuff, it would be like them coming up to us and telling us like, oh, we should refinance, and what are your mortgage rates and all this stuff. It would be like, no, I'm not taking advice from you about the mortgage rate. You don't know anything about it. And that's the kids' way of viewing it anytime we try and tell them about social media. And so it was really interesting, this thing that I read. It was like, you should be more inquisitive and ask questions, and then it gives them the idea that they know more, that they're in charge, that they're in control. And then you can kind of give input from there after you get that feeling that they're involved.
How much learning are you doing these days?
A lot. I think that it's important to always be learning and evolving. So I just picked up a book called The Mindset. I forget, actually, it's something mindset. But somebody recommended the book that was really good. And so I try and do more reading now than I used to, because I want to continue to learn so that I can provide the best mentorship that I can to youth athletes. I don't feel like I know everything. That's for sure.
So when it comes to books that you're looking at, who I guess in a periodical sense are your mentors when it comes to what you want to tell? Who's on that? I guess in the wooden pyramid of success for mentoring for you. Who's ahead of it on you that you're learning from, where you can pass on information these days?
I wouldn't say there's one specific person. I come across things on YouTube that I really enjoy from, sports psychologists with doctoral degrees and have really know the science behind why the brain does certain things at certain times that, I don't have that knowledge. I understand the experience of it and have gone through a lot of it, but the actual whys behind it, I find interesting. And just what other mentors in the mental space talk to their athletes about and why and the buy-in and that type of stuff I find interesting. So it's not necessarily anyone specific. I find stuff on social media, on YouTube, on books that I come across and I find interesting and helpful.
When it comes to opportunity, I know it's something that we talk about a lot. And I wanted to kind of look at it from the opposite perspective a little bit and get your thoughts on seizing an opportunity. Atlanta United had the chance to have players seize an opportunity in the Open Cup match in the midweek against Memphis. Yet, I think, it's safe to say that in a loss against the USL Championship team, there were players probably that had a chance for an opportunity that probably didn't seize on it. And it's going to go to their detriment unless they work that much harder going forward about getting that chance again in that kind of a situation where your team depends on you. And this is a universal thing. I mean, teams that lost an Open Cup, you had chances to sit there and show on a rotated side that you were worthy in front of your coach, and you either showed or you did not, and it's going to reflect on your future, on the coach's future decisions. When it came to your first opportunity where you thought you invested what you needed to in a situation, like I said, and this could be youth, it could be college, could be pro, could be overseas, could be wherever. I mean, this is in the pantheon of the Michael Parkhurst career. The first time that you thought you had an opportunity that it turned out you didn't take advantage of, but you learned from it. Can you remember when that was? I mean, you thought you balled out. You thought you were fantastic. Everything was cool. And it turned out that the opposite, or not as much of what you thought, it wasn't quite 100% in the eyes of others. You realized that later and learned from it. Have you ever had a moment like that?
That's a good question.
Like I said, it could be youth, it could be high school, could be college, early in your career, where later on it's like the light comes on and it's like, man, I didn't take advantage of that opportunity like I should have. And it took me a while to realize that. Have you ever had an opportunity like that go away that you learned from later? You're like, yeah, I probably should have done better in that situation.
I mean, there's definitely things where I look back on that I'm like, oh man, I don't, not exactly what you're talking about, but a couple of different things. One is I turned down my first invite to a national team camp. After like my first year as a pro. And looking back, I'm like, I should have been more ready for that opportunity. I turned it down because it was like 2 months. This was back when preseason, in between seasons was really long. And, I had played the first full year as a pro. It was a long season for me. I played every game and I was tired and exhausted. So I took a lot of time off. I was unfit. And then I got a random call to get into national team camp in January. But I wasn't fit, and I was like, I can't go in there unfit and show really bad my first opportunity. So I turned it down. So looking back, I'm like, well, I wasn't prepared for that and should have been. Then I also, when I was asked to play outside back as a pro in Denmark, I kind of half-assed it and didn't give it my full go, which was a mistake, obviously, looking back, because then 6 months later or so, when they told me to play outside back again and I actually bought in, I loved it, played well. We won the league. I played Champions League as an outside back. It brought me back to the national team. Those probably, hindsight is 2020 for sure.
Yeah, and so, when you have these instances like this, I know that we can look at them now, since they happened 2 and 3 weeks ago in your career, and you can sit there and go, yeah, I learned about the buy-in. I learned about what it takes to give 100%, to be engaged. Have you found mentees that you've come across, or situations, even if they're not your mentees, or just situations like that where you kind of sit there and you might want to nudge somebody and go, you might want to take advantage of this situation and respond better? Have you ever had to have that kind of a counsel where you kind of give somebody a bit of a wake-up call?
There's been a couple players that have been that we've worked with because they've been recommended to us more because of attitudes and discipline things. And those conversations are, more along those lines of, don't throw away the opportunity that you have here in front of you. Right. And I always go back to like the feeling of being injured. And when you've never had an injury and all of a sudden you have an injury and you're on the sideline and you're watching, like, you realize at that moment, wow, how lucky I've been that I've never been injured. Right. And you don't realize it until you're injured. And so don't wait until you're cut. Don't wait until you've lost this opportunity. Don't wait until you're not playing soccer anymore to realize, oh, wow, I'm playing soccer with my friends and I'm enjoying it. And this is a good life. And, I'm a kid and I get to do this and have fun and try and win games. Right. Don't wait until that's gone to try and, get your act together.
All right. Rapid fire in the next couple of minutes here. Some folks on the Twitch pitch have some questions. Coco wants to know, with you being in USL Championship at this point, what are your thoughts on USL Pro Rel coming down the pipe one day?
I've heard rumors about it, and that the expansion, it's possible that they could turn into like a USL Premier League and a Championship League once the championship gets big enough to split into two. So it's definitely a possibility. It would be interesting. I think that's one thing USL is definitely intrigued upon and looking into seriously. And if Pro Rel were to happen in the US, it would be at USL, not MLS.
Figured as much. David wants to know how much time a week you talk to Darlington on his shoe phone.
I was actually thinking of him the other day, and I was like, man, I haven't connected with Darlington in a little while. I need to have lunch with him. He doesn't live that far away, and I haven't spoken to him in a few weeks. So need to dial up that shoe phone soon.
Well, but Darlington's probably going to want to go to a McDonald's or something and just have like 3 double quarter pounders with cheese, and you're going to look at him with those hyper salted fries and go, bruh, what are you doing?
He knows better than to invite me to such establishments.
Abby says next time you come down, you got to check out the new East Valley opening in August. It's coming along nicely. But she also asks, are you just mentoring high school and pre-high school, or also college and post-college folks?
Yeah, I have one mentee in college and a few that didn't go to college that are young pros. So yeah, we do both. It's available. It's just usually when they get older, they don't feel like they need mentorship as much.
And folks enjoyed your Michael Parkhurst. Folks enjoyed Michael Parkhurst left back, and Parky also had a couple of shots playing left back in 19. Really thought you were going to score as Michael Parkhurst left back. Folks enjoyed that, sir.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. You get more freedom out there. You try and meg people, and I love like the meg pass and just having more freedom and more fun out there. You've got center backs behind you. I've got Miles behind me. I can mess around and make mistakes. It's fine.
Since you mentioned, show off the pieces of paper one more time before we go that you brought into the room this morning. Yeah, so that's the notes that you have to compile and condense and put in a form. The thing is that you, I'm sure, understand what your notes are. You can can read those things, and you know what you're trying to say. Everybody else looks at those things and they go, "What is this, dude?" And you're like, "No, I got it covered. This is what this means. This is this."
Yeah, but like this, it's some ripple notes, it's some beyond goals mentoring notes. Some of it's upside down, some of it's the other way. You're like, what am I doing right now?
And
Get
you're like,
organized.
it's like it's so now that you're getting organized with the notes, what is the latest going on with Beyond Goals? Because right now we're getting toward the championships here in Georgia when it comes to high school. What's going on with Beyond Goals these days?
Yeah, we've made really good headway, actually, and we're going to be able to announce hopefully pretty soon a nice partnership with Atlanta United Academy and a nice sponsor there, so that we can do some more work with them. So we'll be excited about that. And then the individual mentorships have actually been really, really strong lately. So we've been staying busy with those, which has been fantastic.
Yes, it is. And we always enjoy the conversations that you and Greg have with us every Friday morning in the 9:30 segment when you guys get to break things down. And I'm noticing, how much time do you and Greg spend talking to one another?
A few hours a week. We actually have a call at 10:30 this morning for an hour. We're going to try and align some stuff. And so, yeah, he's, on your phone where you've got like at the top, you've got like those people that I don't know what's pinned messages or something like that. He's one of my pinned people, because we talk a lot.
Well, and I'm noticing now that as long as that I've been talking with you and Greg on Friday mornings, I'm hearing a little bit of Greg in you with your mannerisms and your transitions, and I'm hearing a little bit of you in Greg when he comes on. So I'm literally it's like I'm here. It's like you pick up his right. When you're talking about things and it's the end of a sentence and you're wrapping the sentence up, Greg will do that same thing. And I noticed it with Greg first. Greg's like, well, and this is what's happening, right? And then I'm noticing now you're picking up his, well, and this is what's happening now with us, right? You want this to happen, right? So you're picking up each other's mannerisms. That's why I was asking how much time you guys spend with each other.
Hopefully we're picking up each other's good mannerisms.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's just you're becoming almost Borg-like when it comes to Beyond Goals mentoring. It's a collective element that there's meshing going on with you two.
Interesting. Well, that's part of us getting more organized is so that, Greg does his, and the nice thing is a lot of our mentees, they talk to me and him separately, because we've got different experiences. We talk about different things differently. Right. And right now we don't have a set booklet of like, hey, this is what you talk about. This is how you talk about it. Right. It's kind of like, freestyle. And, but sometimes we need a little bit more structure, and we're like, well, and if we ever add anyone, it'd be nice for that person to have a boom. Here's a bunch of topics we talk about. Here's some ideas. Here's, and so we're trying to get more organized.
Nothing wrong with organization, nothing wrong with freestyling. So Cap, go condense your notes and make everything right side up, and we'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks, and just keep kicking butt with Beyond Goals. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. And hopefully Atlanta United turn things around on Saturday. I think they will.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one because Nashville hasn't yet figured out how to score goals outside of Hani Mukhtar. So we'll figure it out, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit. Thanks again, Cap.
Thank you, John.
All right, Michael Parkhurst. He's going to go clean up notes, and so that's what you got with Michael Parkhurst and our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring, and that's also very, very cool that he comes in and spends time with us. Garza spends time with us, so it's very, very cool that they come and do that. And thank you guys for sending in questions. That's another thing. I always want to try to have you guys on the Twitch pitch when Michael is a part of it or when Greg is a part of it. If you guys have questions, jump in. I mean, it's as much as the conversation that we have is about mentoring and what they're doing and helping out the next generation. And hopefully it helps out on a bunch of different levels. If you guys have questions like you guys did this morning, I thought it was really cool. Don't ever be afraid to ask stuff, and we'll talk about that stuff, as we go as a part of the conversation. So since it is the top of the hour, or at least it is, it's past the hour mark, I guess I should say, when it comes to this particular show. And usually what that means is one thing, and I have to take things out of loop, and I have to adjust volume levels and do all these kinds of things. And then I hit a particular caret channel, and we go like this. So it's time to read a promo. It's trying to figure out what the knob was, and it's not a knob. You're pushing a button, and the music happens, and we read a promo about our friends at Eliminize Service for odor-free, clean, fresh air. One place you need to go, and it's our friends at Eliminize. Eliminize deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process, makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers, kind of the environment, offering a green way to go about getting rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. It's different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either under the sink or above us in the cupboard. Because when we go under the sink or above us in the cupboard, we pull out that masking agent. We spray it in the air. There's a reason that it's called a masking agent. It just masks the odor. It doesn't attack the problem all the way down to the molecule like our friends at Eliminize Service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, one of two ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you, faithful listener, watcher, person of interest, have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's their website. It's eliminize.com, but we have a favor to ask of you. After the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are reaching out to them from so they can help you with your issues. Full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, eliminize.com /Atlanta. Eliminize Service for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH on a Freestyle Friday, where we have had our Friday free kick with Michael Parkhurst, who is trying to assemble his notes in a manner where he can understand what he wrote when it comes to helping out mentees. And it's always great, like I said, it's always great to catch up with Cap, and it's always great to catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals with Cap and Greg Garza and everything that they're doing. It's great stuff, and they get to hang out with us every Friday at 9:30 as we get into what is going on in and around the world of soccer. You know, we talked about Premier League and our worries and concerns and what we think about Wrexham. $115 just to get in the cheap seats at Keenan Stadium. Man, that's a hard no. And good on them. I hope that they make an absolute mint off of that. And they can take it back and then reinvest in the club. Although I'm sure that most of it is having to do with the transport of the Premier League side, not necessarily the soon-to-be League Two side. But $115, man, that's pretty strong. We always know what hour number 2 is here on a Friday. Friday. I need to get that drop. That reminds me. I'll write that down. Because there are several drops that over the time of a week, that I always forget to get into the system. And that is one of them. Because of things that'll happen during the week, you'll sit there and something will trigger. And it's like, yeah, I need to get that. So from comments that you guys have made during the week, it's like, yeah, I got to find a drop. And I've got to figure out how to do it. But, you know, it started off with something like this. Let me talk to you. With our buddy Eli Drake. Yeah. Shoes of a champion. Shoes of a champion. Is he the third man? He's the third man. Yeah, so those kinds of things, you know. And then our buddy Ross Davenport, who actually was, he had seen some matches up in Kennesaw before.
Yep, all the action at the Fraction has been one way, unfortunately.
Yeah, see. So Ross Davenport helping us out with some of that stuff. So, but yeah, so there's some drops. There we go, Abby. Abby's changed her profile picture. There we go. Now that Glassy's team beat Atlanta United earlier in the week, had to take down that picture. So so Abby's changed her profile picture to Stephen Glass. Let's see. That's right. Yeah, we got games to talk about in Major League Soccer. All right. Going into the preview of the matches, we're going to take the Atlanta United match and move it to the end, like we always do. We're going to talk Atlanta and Nashville last. Oh, change it from Glassy to Parky. Okay, cool. Abby, by the way, I'm still working off of the matzo crack. We put it in the freezer to help out with Constitution. I'm still working on it. But yeah, Atlanta United, Nashville, we're going to talk about it last. So whatever you have in mind, now, Amelia, we're going to talk about it. Atlanta and Nashville, talking about it last. So whatever's on your mind, go ahead and put it in the Twitch pitch. For now, we'll talk about Atlanta and Nashville last, even if it's the first match of the weekend. Unbelievable. So you're the last match last week. You're playing Open Cup in the midweek, and you're the first match in the weekend. Thanks, Schedule Maker. Thank you, Schedule Maker. That was. Love to know who puts that schedule together. Just a thought. Yeah, 1:30 on Big Fox, which means it's the Super Hyper Mega pre and post game show. So it means that it's going to start 1:55 is my guess. I'm waiting for it to load so I can give you the answer. And yeah, so by the way, I am a laptop down. I had to go take my laptop to Geek Squad because basically it was just giving me the circle of death, and it wasn't loading, wasn't doing much of anything, and so it was like, oh, okay, so I guess I need to get this repaired. So got it repaired. I'm getting it repaired, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, Super Hyper Mega pregame show, 1:55 Eastern kick from Nashville, and it's on the free version of Apple TV, and it's on Big Fox. So we'll get into that last because it involves this club, and we're going to talk about it the most. A lot of 7:30s traditionally. Well, not as many 7:30s as we have in the past. Free version of Apple TV. It is Columbus and Inter Miami from the Death Star. 7:39 kick on Apple Free TV. And getting into the juice boxes. Now, remember, once again, just make sure that if you are going to depart with juice boxes or wish to invest with juice boxes, make sure that the juice boxes that you invest with, you can depart with. Cruise at a minus 152 at the Death Star. Your draw in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal, is a plus 288. Inter Miami, who hasn't scored, I think, in months. Actually, they scored in Open Cup. So in MLS competition, it's been a while since they've scored. They are north of plus 400 in this matchup for fun facts. Home sides won each of the first four meetings between Columbus and Inter Miami. Crew outscoring the Herons 5-0 in the two meetings in Columbus. Only goal scored by a road team over the four was a Cucho header in the 2-1 Miami win last September. Columbus unbeaten in 10 straight home MLS matches. They've won 6, including winning 3 of 4 at the Death Star this season. 9th home unbeaten run of 10 or more regular season home games in Crew history. More such streaks than any other MLS team. Inter Miami has lost each of their first 4 away matches this season, failing to score in all of them. Only team in MLS history to lose their first 5 road matches of a season without scoring in any of them, CF Montreal, who did so this year. Lucas Zelarayan's been involved with 5 goals in 3 home matches, 3 goals, 2 assists. He's never recorded a goal contribution in 3 games against Miami. The only MLS team he's faced more than once without recording at least a goal contribution, including the playoffs. Inter Miami's 1-0 defeat against Houston, 6th straight loss, including the 3rd straight by a 1-0 scoreline. No team in MLS history has lost 4 consecutive matches 1-0. And to be perfectly honest, Will, I'm going to go the other way. I think, and we've got to get into the officials and the broadcast crews too. But I'm going to go the other way, Will. I think it's going to be 2-0 Columbus. Morning, Jarrett. We just got into weekend Whiparound.
Morning, John. Sounds good.
Columbus and Inter Miami. Inter Miami has lost their last 4 by the scores of 1-0. No team in MLS history has lost 5 in a row 1-0. I don't think it happens in Columbus. I think that Miami loses worse than 1-0.
Let's see. Um, part of what makes the early season fun is you get these weird moments where you're not sure what you've watched. Because we saw Columbus go through those stretches where they were, they rolled Atlanta. I think that was RSL. They rolled Atlanta as well. And then, wow, Columbus isn't playing games.
No.
Then Columbus has a couple of weird games. And then they play a U.S. Open Cup game that was kind of scrappy, that needed like an 85th minute equalizer.
Yeah.
Again, as bad as as bad of a night as Atlanta had the other night, everyone else was just basically teasing, because you had like 4 other MLS games that were either tied or they were trailing in like the 80th minute or beyond.
Mm-hmm.
You had a smorgasbord of cup sets waiting, and Memphis is the only one that finished the drill.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else spit the bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to make of Columbus, because I think they're really good, but I think Wilfred Nancy's kind of alluded to this, but I think they pump the brakes a bit. They still have development to do. They still have install to do. It's great for them that it started the way it did. Doesn't mean it's going to stick that way,
Right. Yes. So, last time I checked, you got a score, and since
that's accurate. You do
yes.
actually have to score to win.
Yes, and so since Emilio Gambling, we don't like to use that word, but the juice box sites do have options on wagering whether a player scores or not. You do have to identify the actual player as to if you think, if you want to tie it to a particular individual. So you can pick up those kind of props. They do exist, but you do have to do some digging as to figuring out specific prop bets. Usually somebody like a Bet365 will break it down for you, and they will.
I think that's getting weird in England now, because I think I saw where they you can't put the betting companies on the front of shirts anymore, or that's the plan anyway.
That's the plan. It's going to be, I think, 3 years from now that is going to be the case.
Let me know how that works for you.
Exactly. That is exactly what we're staring at when it comes to that particular. Yeah, that particular idea. We talked about it at the time, and we were kind of like, yeah, really? Okay. Yeah, so we'll get right on that. And, can't wait for that one to show up. So we'll, yeah. So I'm trying to see. I'm guessing, Emilio, you were looking for a particular player. Christian Ramirez is the leader in the clubhouse right now. First half, second half, he's at a plus 500, but to score at any time, you can get him at a plus 160. I know that you were probably looking for a particular individual for Miami, and I am looking for that individual to see if he has a number posted. Yes, he does. He is at a plus 750 to score either in the first half or the second half, but if you want him to score at any time, he is listed as a plus 250. So there you go. Yeah. So that is the particular individual that I think a lot of folks are staring at in Inter Miami. And so we'll see where that is. Next one on the board, and we'll also go over reffing assignments, considering who the assignment is for Atlanta and Nashville. But yeah, we'll get into that as well. DC and Charlotte, 7:30. It's on the free version of Apple TV, which translates into a 7:39 kick. Your juice boxes in this one in particular, you have DC at a minus 112 at home. Charlotte is a plus 292, and your draw is a plus 272. Fun facts, both sides recorded 3-0 home wins against the other last year. DC winning the season opener in February, Charlotte winning in August. One of 3 matchups last season that saw each team win a match by at least 3 goals. LAG versus Vancouver and Portland versus Sporting. DC's won consecutive MLS matches for the first time since the opening 2 matches of last year. 2 wins equal the total from DC's previous 20 league matches dating back to last August, where they've lost 13 of them. Charlotte kept their first clean sheet of the year, winning over Columbus. Thus, Jarrett's discussions of the first match of the day. Opening the season with 3 straight defeats, Charlotte's lost only one of their last 6. First time it lost only once in a 6-match span in the club's MLS history. And there are notes on Matthias Klick and Karol Świderski. So there you go. So that's your numbers. Jarrett Smith, what say you with DC and Charlotte?
I guess Charlotte, I'm assuming we're going to see Justin Meram in there. We'll see how he fits into that. It gives them another option on the left-hand side, able to, basically able to cut inside on his right foot when he wants to.
Yep.
That trade is really weird. And we'll hit it real quick because there's a lot of speculation and there's a lot of unofficial stuff that we don't want to spread, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because the trade was going to be Shinyashiki for Meram, and I think some money going. The league amended it. It's just Meram going to Charlotte for I think $350 in GAM. Shinyashiki's not going to go.
Yeah.
According to Top Ben 90, there is Charlotte and MLS are investigating or looking into an incident with Shinyashiki. Don't really have details on it. Look, if you can go on Reddit, you can probably go on Twitter, and you can find, scuttlebutt about it.
Yeah. Apparent alleged topic discussion.
Yes. Apparent alleged topic discussions. We're not going to get into it because I don't know what's real, what's not, and we're not going to spread what might be falsehoods because we don't have any details on that. All we know is that Shinyashiki's going to stay in Charlotte. I don't know if he's ever going to play for them again because I think this was we're going to get him out of town. We're going to get him he's done in Charlotte.
Yeah. It
might just be this was their attempt to, hey, he's not going to play here. Let's see if we can get something for him. And that didn't happen, so maybe now they just cut their losses with him because I think he is done in Charlotte. But ultimately, Charlotte took care of business in the Open Cup. They were a really popular upset pick because they had Tormenta. They took care of business with Tormenta in kind of a weird game.
Yeah.
But give me the draw here. Yeah. I actually kind of like DC's chances to fight with them. But Charlotte, again, talked about Columbus. Charlotte beat Columbus a week ago. So Latanzio's, I think kind of figuring things out. I just don't know what the ceiling. I feel like it's kind of a situation where, with Latanzio, their ceiling isn't as high as other clubs.
Yep.
But their floor is higher. So the range is not as intense, but it might be a playoff range.
Yeah. So that's what you're staring at with that one. If there is an official of note, we will mention that particular individual. Ismail Pekmic is the man in the middle. Ted Uncle is your 4th at Audi Field in that one. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Next one on the board, also on season pass at 7:30. This one's sneaky good. New England and Cincinnati. 7:39 at Gillette Stadium. Your juice boxes in this one. New England is a plus 112 at home. Draws a plus 250. FC Cincinnati is a plus 235. Fun facts. Both New England and FC Cincinnati, 20 points through 9 matches this year. First time in MLS history. 2 teams with 20 or more points have met within each team's first 10 matches of a year. England's 20 points through 9 equal their second best start in the club history when they had 21 back in 2005. Revs have totaled 23 points through 10 matches of a season just once before, doing so when they set the single season points record back in 21. FC Cincinnati's 20 through 9 equaling their entire total from the 21 season. Cincinnati's plus 2 goal difference, lowest of the 23 teams that have collected 20 or more points through the first 9 matches of an MLS season. New England had no players cautioned in their win over Sporting. The third time this season, New England stayed out of the book. Only one team has had fewer than the Revs, 7 yellow cards through 9. It was the Crew back in 99 with 6. Alvaro Barreal tied with second. Major League Soccer, 23 chances, 10 of the 23 created setup shots for Sergio Santos, including the opening goal against Portland Saturday, the most for one teammate to another this season in Major League Soccer. What say you, Jarrett Smith? I think he's stunned.
No, I'm thinking.
Alex Chilowitz is the man in the middle. Soren Stoichka is your VAR.
I'll take a draw. I'm gonna check it out.
I think it's a draw. I really do. I think it's a draw as well. Yeah, I mean, you got two teams top of the table. I think it could be wacky, goofy, crazy, or it could be, you end up with Celentano and Petrovic standing on their heads and nothing happens on the turf.
Yeah.
Orlando and LAG at 7:30 on season
Orlando.
pass. Yeah, I was going to say, how far do we need to go?
I mean, look, LAG got off the deck with a win finally. Orlando is low-key kind of a disappointing team early in the season.
Yeah.
Let's keep it real here. Orlando has been disappointing because you expected more from Orlando.
Yeah.
With all they've done, and maybe they've just taken them a bit of time to kind of get everything lined up, get all their ducks in a row. But they haven't done it yet.
Yep.
And you're kind of, at least I'm kind of in the, hey guys, whenever y'all got a minute, let's just go ahead and get this horse, let's get this horse out the barn.
Yeah.
But they don't seem really compelled to get said horse out the barn right now.
Yeah. Yeah, purple team is actually on the plus side at a plus 121. LAG is north of plus 200.
That sounds fine to me. Like plus 121 sounds fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah. John Freeman's your man in the middle for that match.
Not John Nelson.
No, not related. Toronto hosting NYC at 7:30 on.
Ryan, we have a John Freeman and a John Nelson. Then we have a John Freeman Nelson.
That is true, and a John Nelson playing in, I believe, in Cincinnati in Major League Soccer. No relation.
I believe so.
Toronto and NYC at BMO on season pass 7:39. And your juice boxes, both on the plus side. Toronto's a plus 137. NYC's a plus 197. And your draw is a plus 240. Toronto FC's only won 5 of their 18 regular season meetings with NYC, drawing 7, losing 6. So they're pretty much hitting 1 in each column, including just 1 of the last 5, drawing 2, losing 2. Toronto's won all 3 of the matches against NYC during MLS Cup playoffs, outscoring NYC 9-1. We are not in the playoffs. Sidebar. Toronto returns home after losing 4-2 to Philadelphia on Saturday, where it's unbeaten in 4 straight. In fact, Toronto has lost only 2 of their last 11 at BMO, winning 3, scoring at least twice in 9 of the 11. NYC has been a different team home and away since late August. NYC has won 8 of 10 at home, managing just 2 of 10 away, losing 6. Jonathan Osorio completed over 100 passes, assisted both goals. First player since passing data has been tracked to complete at least 100 passes and assist multiple goals in a match. Santi Rodriguez recorded his first multi-goal MLS match in the 3-1 win over Dallas. He had scored only twice in his previous 17 MLS appearances dating back to late August last season. What say you, Jared Smith?
I say Toronto. I think they're figuring things out, man.
Armando Villarreal is the man in the middle.
Okay. The goldfish.
Yes. So there you go. Yeah, I got Toronto in this one. And I think it'll be a rare, and I would also take the over as well in this one. 8:30, your Quakes are in Austin at Q2. And
Quakes.
Yeah, well, and wow. I mean, you look at what's going
on. What are the numbers?
Well, hey, Austin's a plus 106. You can get the Quakes at a plus 240. You can get them at a plus 240 on the road.
Okay.
So plus 240 on the road. Jarrett is possibly looking at some interesting juice boxes. Guido Gonzalez Jr. is the man.
I like the Quakes. Like I'm not wavering too hard on this. I like the Quakes.
Corey Parker is one of your ARs, and yeah, so Guido Gonzalez Jr. is the man in the middle on this one. And
okay.
Yeah, so I have zero faith in Austin right now. I really don't. Fire and Red Bulls. That one is also at 8:30. That's on season pass. And juice boxes in this one. Fire are a plus 160. Red Bulls are a plus 186. Your draw is a plus 216. Fun facts at 8:39. Red Bulls have lost only 2 of their last 9 at Chicago. including securing a 2-1 win last April. Prior to the last 9 visits, New York had recorded just 3 wins in 28 all time, losing 18 of them. Fire are unbeaten in their first 5 at home this season, although 4 of those ended in draws, equaling the second longest into a season Chicago's gone without a home loss. That 3 wins and 2 draws back in 2003. The Fire went 11 straight home matches without a defeat to begin the 2017 campaign, winning 10 of those. Red Bulls have won 1 of their first 9 this season, drawing 5, losing 3, just the 3rd time they've done so in the club's history. MLS in 96 and 06. New York has fewer than 9 points through 9 games of a season for the first time, also since 2009, when they also had 8. Fire forced Atlanta into 22 turnovers within 40 meters of their own goal in Sunday's match, the most high turnovers forced by one team in an MLS match this season, with 4 of those resulting in shots. Corey Burke has scored 9 goals in 9 matches against the Fire in all competitions. Only 2 players have scored more against a single MLS opponent since Burke joined the league in 2018, Vela against the Galaxy and Raul Ruiz-Diaz against Portland. What say you, Jared Smith?
What were the numbers?
Sorry. That's quite all right. In this one, Fire are a plus 160. Red Bulls a plus 187. Your draw has dropped to plus 215.
Fire. I am legitimately still. And man, I don't know if I'm crazy. You don't tell me if I am. That's fine. At this point, I don't care. I don't think the Fire are as bad as people made them out to be.
Yeah.
Again, I blew in the face with this last week, like this conversation about earlier this week that we don't give enough credence to clubs that are actually good.
Yeah.
We spend more time, the failings of our favorite club, be it Atlanta, be it whoever in Europe, as opposed to sometimes a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Like sometimes clubs are just good. Like Chicago's got 2 losses on the year. You gave them one of them on a own goal off of somebody's lower back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're as bad as their record is. I don't think they're as bad as people. Like it's this thing where I think we're still stuck in this. It's Chicago. And Chicago's been the same Chicago since 2018, excluding 2016. You go back to 2015. They haven't been good for almost a decade. They've been mired in mediocrity. Aside from 2017, it's been mediocrity in the best of times and tire fire in the worst of times. Yeah. But I don't think they're as bad as that. As bad as people want to believe.
No, I think, and they're playing the way that Ezra wants them to play. And as we all know, nobody's better.
Good at his job, man.
Fire and Red Bulls, by the way, quick trigger, Chris Penso is the man in the middle. Fotis Bazakos is your 4th. So you get Chris Penso for the Fire.
Bazakos I have no problem with. Penso, it just gets weird with Penso, man.
Yeah.
So, I don't mean that in the sense that, Chicago is going to be world beaters. I just think they're better than we give them credit for, man.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Also at 8:30, Sporting and CF Montreal. In this one, Sporting is on the minus side at a minus 139. Your draw is basically a plus 290. CF Montreal is a plus 363. Remy Touchon is the man in the middle for this one at Children's Mercy Park at 8:39. This one is on season pass. Fun facts. Sporting is hosting CF Montreal for the first time since the 7-1 win March 30, 2019. 7 goals are the most ever scored by Sporting in a competitive match, while the 6-goal margin of victory is tied for the team's largest margin in any match with 3 other such wins, 99, 2018, and 2022, the game against the Murder Owls. Sporting also has 3 goals in their 9 MLS games in 2023, the fewest ever by any team through 9 matches of an MLS season. And guess what? They got 3 red cards. First MLS team ever to have the same number of reds as goals through 9 matches in a season.
I'm honestly impressed because we made this joke. last week, I think.
Yeah, we did.
That like they had 2 goals and 2 reds.
Uh-huh.
And then they just were like, you know what? We
yeah.
believe in overachieving.
Yes. So now it's 3-3.
Yeah.
3 goals, 3 reds, last in the West. Yikes. Yikes, Sporting Kansas City.
Yikes, Peter Vermes.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just going to say draw because I don't have any faith on Montreal on the road, and I don't have any faith in Sporting at home. I have zero faith.
This could be an ugly game. It could be stupid. It could be fun. Let's have fun with it. The 0-0 draw. Let the punishment continue.
Exactly. Rich Ransom, by the way, sidebar. Rich called sidebar in the middle of the segment. We'll go ahead and give it this.
Never say we don't give you anything, Rich, except a hard time. We give you that plenty.
Manchester United and Arsenal at MetLife Stadium this summer.
Okay.
July 22nd, United and Arsenal at MetLife as a part of Manchester United's tour in 2023. So it will be interesting to see how many minutes all of the important folks, folks will sit there and invest. And God, if it's $115 to get in the door to see Wrexham at Keenan, God knows how much it's going to cost to go see these two teams at the Meadowlands. It's going to be expensive AF.
Yes.
That's just my thought. Also on the board at...
God knows I'm paying enough money to go watch Newcastle.
Yeah. Also on the board at 8:39 on the free version of Apple TV, it is St. Louis City SC and your Portland Timbers.
My Portland Timbers.
In the collective sense, not yours specific.
What do you mean we, Kimasabi?
City is a -116. Portland is basically a +300, and your draw is a +278 as 6-2-1 hosts 2-5-2. City got their 2-1 win over the Timbers at Providence Park when they faced off earlier this month. Portland will be the first opponent to play St. Louis multiple times. St. Louis has scored 11 goals in their 4 all-time home games, 3 or more in 3 of the matches. Most goals scored by an expansion team through their first 4 home games, beating Atlanta United's 10 back in 2017. In the 2-1 loss to Cincinnati, the Timbers outshot Cincinnati 14-13. Portland had been outshot in each of their last 9 away matches prior to Saturday with an average shot differential of -9.9. 163 shots faced, 74 attempted. Rasmus Alm scored the lone goal in the 1-1 draw for City and Colorado. 3rd consecutive league match with a goal contribution. One of 6 City players with multiple MLS goals this season, the most of any team. And since the beginning of the 21 season, Dairon Asprilla has scored 22 goals in 67 regular season matches, 8 more goals than any other Timbers player in that time. Prior to 21, Asprilla had scored only 7 in 95. So Dairon Asprilla has caught fire. Ismail Elfath is the man in the middle. Victor Rivas is your 4th. Rosendo Mendoza is your VAR. What say you, Jared Smith?
Far be it for me to bet against St. Louis at this point, right?
Well, yeah, and if you, once again, reminder: if you have not joined the Fantasy League, join the Fantasy League. Yes. Jason Wright with a W Agency on Facebook, the Jason Wright Agency Facebook page, Jason Wright with a WAGEN on Twitter. Join the Fantasy League. Be better at it than I am this year because I suck.
Yeah, come beat up John.
Yes,
not literally. Please.
Yes, figuratively.
Figuratively.
Yes. Have a day, have a week.
Or show up this weekend and try and beat up Nick and myself.
Yeah.
Me, you'll be fine. Nick's a different animal.
Yes.
Nick is Paulding County scrappy.
Yes.
And a Marine, so I mean I don't like your chances.
No.
But also if you've never been to Paulding County scrappy is a different kind of animal that you
That is a different kind of scrappy.
Oh, that's not an animal you want to deal with. I promise.
That's a different kind of scrappy. And so we'll you got to keep an eye on that. So we kind of we got to go St. Louis here, don't we?
Yeah. I'm St. Louis on this one. I think Portland will ultimately be fine, but
They got to get healthy.
they do have to get healthy. That's a very key factor in all of this. Man, we'll see. They got to get healthy, and then they got to actually. It's kind of the Atlanta thing of, man, just wait till they get healthy. Okay, when they get healthy, are they going to be able to do it? Therein lies the question.
Yes, that's the rub in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Also on the board at 9:30 from Rio Tinto, it is RSL at a plus 159, Seattle at a plus 163, and your draw at a plus 246. Nima Sagafi is the man in the middle, and Kevin Stott is your VAR as RSL hosts Seattle. This one is on season pass, and it's a 9:39 kick. Fun facts. RSL has won 10 of their last 11 home matches against the Sounders dating back to 2013. Overall, RSL has won 71.4% of their home MLS matches against Seattle. The only other team hosts Seattle 8 or more times and win more than half of them, Portland. After recording one win in their first 5, RSL has won 2 of their last 3, including the win over Jarrett's Quakes on Saturday. RSL's last league-winning streak that was a 3-match run last May as they failed to win the match following their last 8 victories. Sounders have won 4 of their last 5 in MLS. Lone loss was the 4-1 blowout to Portland that saw them concede 4 times in 18 minutes. Seattle conceded more in the 18 minutes than it had in the other 792 that it had played this season. Jefferson Savarino, goal and an assist in the win over San Jose for RSL, his 6th game with a goal and an assist since rejoining MLS since late May last year, tying with Daniel Gazdag for the most such games in the league at that time. Albert Rusnak scored his 4th in the win over Minnesota, 3rd from outside the box. With Seattle and RSL, Rusnak has scored 14 from outside the box in his career, 2nd most to Lucas Zelarayan in the same time frame with 17. What say you, Jared Smith?
We're gonna go for the Riot.
Yeah, I think so. We'll end 3 and 5, hosting 6, 2 and 1. And by the way, Thursdays with Nico on a Friday is at 2:00 on the network. So Nico will be joining us live at 2:00 to go through what's going on in Major League Soccer.
Low key, I'm someone 8 games into the season not having a loss and or a draw is really interesting to me whenever that happens.
Yeah. Will says that Paulding County seems like an unholy mix of West Atlanta and Southern Appalachia with a mix of South Alabama plains thrown in.
Nick and I are doing pre and post game
and halftime.
And halftime Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have this conversation because,
Yes.
This will be had.
Yes, it will.
Because, it is. Paulding County is a very weird place. My recommendations for Paulding County are limited.
Yes.
It's just a very weird place to have spent any of your time, especially if you did it in like the 90s, like he did, or the early 2000s, like I did, because it's a very different world now than it was then, which I'm sure John could give you with his experiences and with experiences in high school football. I'm sure he could, tell you about that.
Why, yes. Usually it was a place that you went to on your way out 278 as you were heading to Polk County to go cover stories in either Rockmart or Cedartown. Although there was a Dairy Queen in Hiram that did get a lot of work on 278 on the way out.
Well, I mean, there was nothing on 278 for a long time.
True. Once again, that is absolutely true.
So my dad still gets like old man mad about, oh, we moved out here. There was nothing out here. It was great. Like, that's not the case anymore, Dad. You can't just go to, you can't just swing by the Zaxby's on 278 anymore because everything's out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely true. And so you got that. You got that to look at. Two more.
Find me a Zaxby's that hasn't been completely like riddled with tons of people at any given moment. Absolutely. Also, Also, I don't know if you ever did this, John. The Catfish Den
No,
on 92
was not. No,
Oh my God!
no.
Clutch.
Did not happen.
Amazing.
Did not happen. That did not happen. 2 matches to go in Major League Soccer before we talk about Atlanta United to wrap up the show this week. 10:30, Vancouver hosting Colorado at BC Place. Tori Penso is in the middle. Corey Rockwell is one of your ARs. Edvin Jurasevich is your VAR in this one. Your juice boxes, Vancouver's minus 125. Draws a plus 274. Colorado is a plus 333 for the game that kicks off on Season Pass at 10:39 Eastern Time. Fun facts. Rapids 1-3-1 at home against Vancouver in the last meeting between these two in September 2022. Colorado's won consecutive matches against Vancouver 4 times before. Last did so during the 2015 season. Vancouver have won their last 2 MLS matches and 5 of their last 7 at home, dating back to the end of last year. Since returning to BC Place in late August 2021, Vancouver has 19 home wins, third most in Major League Soccer. Behind who, Jarrett?
New York City?
Nope.
What?
Think who's been successful.
LAFC?
That's one. They have the most at 21.
Okay. Philadelphia?
Ding, ding, ding. They have 20. It is LAFC, Philadelphia, and Vancouver.
I mean, it's a look. Okay, that's a long ass flight.
Uh-huh. That is true.
Vancouver from anywhere that's not Seattle is a hike.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So
I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody that answer is wrong because it kind of makes sense.
That is absolutely true. Rapids have won only 1 of their first 9 this season, have 8 points because they drew 5 of them. 8th time in club history, Colorado has had fewer than 9 points after 9 matches of a season, something no team has done more often. San Jose's only done it 8 times. Vancouver's unbeaten in their last 6 MLS matches, drawn 4, clean sheets in each of the last 3. Whitecaps have kept 4 clean sheets consecutive in Major League Soccer, just twice before, most recently in October 2014. Michael Barrios came off the bench to score an equalizer at 90+2 for Colorado against City on Saturday. Barrios' 11th goal contribution as a sub since joining the Rapids in 21. Only the Bishop, Dejan Joveljic, has more substitute goal contributions. He's a big chest guy. And more contributions.
Does he only make diagonal runs then?
I guess so. I guess that's why he only comes in as a sub for Greg Vanny and doesn't start unless he has to. So
I don't know nearly enough about chess. I know how to play chess. I know how to play chess poorly though.
Yes,
I don't know nearly enough about like chess theory to know like how you're using things. So,
yes.
And I watched The Queen's Gambit. All I watched was that's a great show. Did you learn anything about chess? Not really.
No, not a thing.
Didn't really want to either. That's okay.
No, not happening. So obviously, it sounds like we are both leaning toward Who's-He What's-It's, the Vancouver.
Who's-He What's-It's.
Yes.
The Vancouver Who's-He What's-It's.
Yes, that is absolutely true. So we're leaning toward Vancouver in this one. That takes care of your Saturday. The lone match on your Sunday is at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Loons hosting FC Dallas. Minnesota's a plus 127. Your draws a plus 242. And FCD is a plus 209 for this particular match. And this one is on FS1 and on the free side of Apple TV from Allianz. 9:25 kick because they're going to do the Super Hyper Mega pregame show. So 9:25 kick, and it'll be over Monday morning. Minnesota United got a measure of revenge with the 1-0 win over FCD after being eliminated by them in the playoffs in 22. FCD won their last visit to Minnesota 3-0 last September after losing each of their previous 4 trips to St. Paul. Loons have lost 3 straight after going unbeaten in their first 5. Second time Minnesota's followed up a 5-match unbeaten start to a season with 3 straight losses. Did that also in 2020. Something no other team has done in the post-shootout era. That's basically the last 23 years.
I would say that's post-shootout era is a significant amount of time, y'all.
FCD's 3-match unbeaten run ended with the loss at NYC. They have not lost consecutive regular season matches since late May last year, though the second of those 2 defeats came at the hands of Minnesota United. Minnesota United has been outshot by 34 this year. The quality of those has been vastly different, according to our notes. Loons' 84 shots have a higher combined XG than the 118 shots they've faced. Insert irony here. Jesus Ferreira came off the bench to provide the assist for FCD in the defeat of NYC. FCD has won just one of the 14 regular season matches in which Ferreira did not start. What say you, Jarrett Smith?
Tempted to take FCD.
Yeah, I'll go draw just because I have no trust in either team.
No, I really don't, and some of that also stems from the fact that I don't have a lot of trust in Looney Tunes.
Yep. So there you go. And let's see who's so Alan Chapman is your ref, and Corey Richardson is one of your ARs. So
Okay.
there's all right. So now. So I talked about it before we got into all of these matches, that the schedule makers apparently enjoy having fun at Atlanta United's expense. You were the last match last weekend. You played an Open Cup in the midweek, and you're the first match this weekend. Joe Dickerson is the man in the middle. Yay. Rubiel Vasquez is your fourth. Eunice Maracci is your VAR. At Geodis Park, match listed at 1:30, but I believe the Super Hyper Mega pregame show is attached. It is on Big Fox at 1:55 kick, 3-3-3 hosting 5-1-3. Juice boxes in this one. Nashville at a plus 117. Atlanta is basically twice that at a plus 2.25. Your draw is a plus 250. Notes from practice going on right now. No Gigi and no Westberg at active in practice as we speak, as everybody's taking a peek at it and looking at what was going on. So
not surprised. I mean,
yeah.
We were talking about it after the game the other night. Of even when he's healthy, do you ride Clement?
Yeah.
Because we talked about it. Do you ride the hot hand even when Westberg's healthy? Not because Westberg was bad. I thought Westberg was fine.
Yeah.
Clement's just a super hot hand right now.
When you're in rhythm, don't take that away from somebody.
Yeah. Don't. Again, for those of you who may or may not be watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, you get somebody hot between the sticks, between the pipes. You ride that.
Yeah, Vegas did that with Brassard and stuck with him after the opening loss in the series. They ran the table, so that's what's
this week. This week.
Yeah, this year
they won their series.
They won their series last night, and
Sorry, I missed that.
The coach for Winnipeg was less than pleased, and his rant is available on social media about the Winnipeg Jets not having basically
what a shame
any
Winnipeg.
gumption. They had no gumption, and he used a different word entirely.
No marbles, maybe.
They had no marbles, and he was less than pleased with their output in the series after being punched in the face, basically, figuratively, not collectively. But
I mean, it's hockey. They might have been punched in the face physically, and everybody would have been like, "Oh, got punched in the face."
Yeah,
what are you gonna do about it?
Yep. Atlanta United won each of the first 2 meetings with Nashville. Nashville's unbeaten in the 6 since. Hani Mukhtar has 5 goals in league play against Atlanta, as only Lucho Acosta has more against Atlanta United in the club's history. Nashville's recorded a 4-match win streak from August 21 to September 3 last season, when they scored 14 times in the club's 14 MLS matches since. They've only recorded 4 wins and scored just 12 goals with 18 points. Atlanta United's off to their second best start to an MLS season after collecting 22 in 2018. Only 5 of the 18, though, have been earned on the road. Hani Mukhtar scored Nashville's lone goal in their draw against LAFC since the start of 21. Mukhtar has been involved in 42 goals in home matches, 29 goals, 13 assists, 8 more than any other player in the league. Atlanta United's winning goal against the Fire 98-09, the second 99th minute winning goal for Atlanta this season. Prior to this year, there were just 2 match winners in at 90.9, 90 plus 9 or later in all of MLS over the previous 14 seasons. So what say you, Jared Smith?
I honestly, I think it's going to be a fun matchup. How Atlanta, again, this is going to be a different animal than what Atlanta dealt with Chicago or with Memphis. Like, Nashville's going to play different. It's just how it is. They're going to sit back, and how Atlanta attacks them is going to be dependent. Something to talk about with Jason actually after the game the other night. Of, can you get Miguel Berry or Machocho or Eric Lopez if he's like a short term kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I guess you can't do that because he's been loaned to the twos.
We still don't know the status of his ankle anyway.
Yeah, whoever starts, can you get them to run the channels?
Yep.
To open up. To open up the defense, to run at that back line. Mm-hmm. Can you get them to do that the way Giacomakis has been doing it? Because he's been great at it. Because they're going to pack in. And, there's not going to be a ton of room because of the way they're going to want to sit back. But can you challenge them? Can you find those transition moments?
Yeah.
Can you handle Honey Mukhtar? Like, given the fact that Abato's probably not going to be available, but 120 minutes, played his ass off in the losing effort the other night. I'm not saying he had the greatest game in the world. I'm saying he put in. He's a maniac. He put in a ton of effort. I don't know if he's available,
right?
And if he's not starting, I'm nervous about bringing him in off the bench because I think he's better at setting the tone. And just another thing we talked about after the game the other night is better at setting the tone than coming in and adjusting to the tone.
Yeah.
Can he go in and be and adjust to the tone if he has to? And if not, you might have a Mateus Susetu, Santi Sosa pairing there with, let's use everyone's favorite words, pivots.
Yes. Pivot.
Yeah. That, single pivot with Santi Sosa playing at the 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then Susetu being a more forward midfielder. It's going to be you just got to be. It's the same thing that Frank de Boer I think talked about back in the day, which is in those situations where you get forward against a team that bunkers, you need possession to end with the ball going out of play or in the back of the net, where you have a chance. And we know Atlanta likes to. We know that Atlanta likes to counter press anyway, but to have it go in a way where you're not getting caught out. You want it to end with the ball going out of play so you can reset your defense.
Yeah.
If they can do that, I think they can get something out of this. Absolutely.
Yep. No, I'm right.
I don't think it's absurd at all. And factor in the fact as well for me that Atlanta's been a lot better on they've been a lot better on set pieces this year.
Yep.
If ask Gonzalo Pineda about it, I mean, it's a lot of it. I think does come down to just working their ass off, on count, like working their ass off to clear the ball out, and then being able to make sure that the second ball doesn't come flying in at Mach 8. So
yes. Emilio, I don't know what the win-loss record is with Sosa Hosechu, but we do, after what happened in the midweek, where you had folks playing a lot more minutes than you wanted them to, and you ended up with, I think, Brooks and Gutman playing 60. You had, now I'm going to have to look it up because now I'm curious with curiosity about who played how many minutes. All right. So,
and to Emilio's question real quick, I think I'm okay with doing like with Sosa and Hasetsu counter to like the Sosa Ibata setup, which hasn't like it doesn't seem to work when they're on the field together.
Right.
If you've got one of them and someone playing in front of them, totally cool with it. Let's go. I'm good with that.
Gutman came in the 62nd. So Gutman played 60. Lennon played 60. Luis played 60. Caleb played 60. Etienne played 50. Sadich played 70. Barry played 70. Machope played 50. Cobb played 80. Purata played 40. So you're looking at, Caleb played the full 120. Caleb played 60. So this is going to be an interesting juggle job trying to figure out what the physios are saying, what the limitations are. Can you give me 45? Can you give me 60? This is going to be a key week from the physios and the sports science department and figuring out workload and what can be handled. And we knew that this was going to be this way through this month and for the next 6 weeks. This is going to be key because of all of the schedule compression that you're going to see. And I think that this is the first example of that and figuring out how things are going to look going forward. This is going to be a lot of math between now and the 6 weeks from here, Jarrett.
It is, and this is going to be interesting for a lot of the guys who are depth on this team, because we talked about it after the Memphis game of guys getting minutes. How do they handle those minutes? Are they going to earn more minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
this is why I wanted to ask Michael Parkhurst about that this morning on Friday Free Kick, about those opportunities and taking advantage of those opportunities. And you had a chance for some in the rotated side in Open Cup in midweek. And you will have these opportunities coming up very, very quickly in short order with the first team here in Major League Soccer before you get into Leagues Cup.
And guys who didn't step up to the plate for those minutes the other night, how do you deal with them? How do you deal with things going forward? Because those guys who didn't take advantage of their minutes, do they get more?
Mm-hmm. And how do they, and if they don't immediately, how long is a process going to be where they will earn that trust back and earn those minutes and opportunities back? That's the key in all of this. So that's what you're staring at. It will be interesting. The next 6 weeks, frankly, will be very, very interesting to see how all of it is laid out. And it's Nick's. It's all right. So here's what Jason says. Nick says, I know it's MLS. I know we've already had injuries again this year. It's just so frustrating for a team that spends like this to already be worrying about depth again. At keeper,
you're fine.
You're
compared
fine.
Compared to what you had before, you're fine. Because it's better than what you had before.
Well, and to Emilio's point, with a normal limited MLS roster due to cap, et cetera, even people that haven't earned minutes will still get to play because there's no choice. That's not necessarily true because of what we see with the second team. By the way, second team plug, 6 o'clock Sunday night. Jarrett, Nick, and Jason will be at the Fraction because I will be on my way to Austin, Texas for a date. And it will be Atlanta United 2, Philadelphia Union 2 on the SDH network on the audio side. So they will be driving the bus for the last match of this opening homestand. And so if you can get to the Fraction, get to the Fraction. It's the only Atlanta United home game in town this weekend. So go to Kennesaw and catch up with Nick, Jarrett, and Jason. It's on the SDH network on the app. A little before 6 o'clock, probably about 5:45 on Sunday night. But the boss does know I have a date, Nix. She knows. Full disclosure, the show's going to be done from Austin, Texas, Monday, Tuesday, because Monday night, Patti LuPone is performing in Austin, Texas on the last date of her North American tour for 2023. And these tickets were purchased before the MLS Next Pro season schedule came out. And so that's why we got a date in Austin, Texas. So that's
Good reason as any.
We're going to go see Patti LuPone. And so that's what we're staring at there. But no, this will be for this next 6 weeks period. And I think it'll tell a lot leading into Leagues Cup, actually. What folks are staring at when it comes to Atlanta United, who's earning these opportunities, who's earning the trust of Gonzalo Pineda, who's doing well with the twos, getting those call-ups when they're needed, and where the trust goes. And this is that first opportunity for it. So, but yeah, so looking forward to it. And Mike and Jason will have the call for you this weekend. What else is on your mind with the Atlanta match heading into this weekend?
Not a lot. I'm actually about to jump.
Okay, well then, all right. Well, then, go ahead. So do you drop so Amelia is asking before you go. So do you just drop the player not performing to the twos, replace him with the twos player? You can't quite do that.
Yeah, it's not that simple, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wish you could, but you can't quite do that. But what you can do is you can bring up, there are players you can bring up that are on first team contracts. I wish the rules of engagement were different, where you could shuttle players a lot easier than what we could figure out. But sadly, no, it is not that easy. But players, those first team players, those first team contracts will sort themselves out. And then there's always the summer window too. So you got that coming up. So Jarrett, what else is on your mind before you go?
No, nothing else. I do have to jump. Unfortunately,
then jump. Go.
I say mucha plata to all.
Go. So Jarrett's leaving. So Will's heading to Barber for the Bama Grand Prix in Leeds, Alabama. All right. Before we go, what was gossip, rumor, innuendo, and things left unsaid. Article in the Telegraph. Qataris received the Whitehall boost ahead of Manchester United takeover deadline day. Remember, that's today. End of business. Bid may leave 20% remaining in possession of the Glazers. The Qatari group, led by Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani, is going to table a third offer Friday. Fresh assurances that the government will not block their proposed takeover at Old Trafford. The Glazers finally give the green light to the 100% buy. Multiple sources insist the only remaining hurdle will be the Premier League's strengthened directors and owners tests. 10 p.m. on Friday, basically close of business our time, close of business New York. That's when everybody's got to get everything in. Reign receive a third round of offers, 10 o'clock London time. End of business here. Sir Jim Ratcliffe appears to be lining up a more flexible offer, which could allow for Avram and Joel Glazer to retain a minority stake. Ineos Group declined comment, citing NDAs with Reign, believed the proposal would feature a controlling stake of just over 50%. 20% remaining in the possession of Avram and Joel could prove a hard sell to United supporters who want the Glazers out. Sheikh Jassim, meanwhile, remains committed to a debt-free purchase. Potential deal now entering the defining stage. One senior Whitehall figure emphasized the process remained nothing to do with the government. We are not involved. It's a matter for the Premier League. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that going forward. Remember, 10 o'clock local time, 5 o'clock here. That's when everybody's got to get their bids into Reign in New York City and figure out what's going on. Guardian. And see if there's anything there before we go. Rangers get a chance to defy expectations against Celtic. Jared will probably be watching that. You've got the FA apparently proposing more overseas signings if English players are rewarded. Sean Ingle at The Guardian. The FA's floated an innovative plan that would allow the Premier League and lower league clubs to sign more overseas players in exchange for providing greater time on the pitch for English talent. Since Brexit, all signings from abroad are subject to the FA's governing body endorsement, which means players get a visa only if they played at the highest level or are expected to make a significant contribution to the game. And under the FA's proposals, Premier League and Championship clubs would be able to sign 4 overseas players without a GBE, as long as the club gave 35% of total playing minutes to English players the previous season. So we're into quotas now. Percentage of minutes played by English talent, the number of signings would drop to 3, 30 to 35%, 2, 25 to 30, or 1, 20 to 25. Same would apply to the championship. Paul Barber, Premier League clubs are at a big disadvantage under the current rules compared with their European rivals. So that's at The Guardian. I will clip and post that. Nick says the Napoli match was moved time-wise due to security concerns if they win the title this weekend. Yes, that city's going to go bonkers. Just ask Nick. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, yeah, don't forget to join the fantasy team. You've got playoff action going on in Georgia High School. It's a wrap-up of some of the girls' games that were not played yesterday because of weather, and all the boys' matches to determine your finals. We do have some of the finals in from yesterday on the girls' side. Mount Vernon, shocker, beats Commerce 3-2. They advance. They'll play the winner of Social Circle and Paideia, which is at 5 o'clock today. Single A D2 is playing today. Fellowship Christian put 9 on Fitzgerald to advance to play Athens Academy, who beat Mount Perrin Christian 5-1. AAA, Wesleyan, Oconee County, St. Vincent's, and Bremen. They're both playing at 5 o'clock today in AAA. Quad A, North Oconee shut out Holy Innocents 2-0. They're playing Westminster, who beat Lovett 3-2. Greenbrier Northgate waiting on an answer on that one. The winner of that one gets Chambly, who shut out Midtown 3-0. Number 2 team nationally in Chambly. We've had them on the network this year. Roswell beat Pope. A 4 seed makes it all the way through to the championship game in 6A to take on Marist on the girls' side. Marist beat Lassiter 2-0. Roswell shut out Pope 4-0. In 7A, Denmark beat Campbell 1-0. They will take on Walton. Walton beat Forsyth Central by the score of 2-1. And once again, the boys are today. So very, very busy week. Thanks for all of y'all for being a part of it, as you always are. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe. Join the fantasy team or fantasy league if you have not. And once again, action at the Fraction this weekend, 6 o'clock. So it's 1:55 Saturday afternoon, 92.9 The Game, Mike and Jason. And then 6 o'clock at the Fraction, Sunday night, 5:45 pregame show on the SDH network, on the SDH app at Google Play, Spreaker app on iOS. Do a search for Soccer Down Here, and then soccerdownhere.net. That's your broadcast plans for the weekend. We'll be back at it, like I said. Show Monday, Tuesday will be from Austin, Texas. And we'll see if we can get some Austin talk in there while we're there. So everything's going on. And Thursdays with Nico, by the way, 2 o'clock on the network. And we'll get to Nico's perspective on everything in Major League Soccer from a Western perspective. So for everybody here, thanks for all of y'all for hanging out for yet another week. Played safe, everybody. Mucha plata, y'all. Since it's the end of the show, it means I get to do this. We will see you from Austin, Texas on Monday. Enjoy.